Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming. So this is the Cleveland Music Industry Conversations, and some of you have been at some of our other events, and I do see a lot of new faces, which is great, so thank you all for coming. We have several presenters tonight, and we're going to do a Q&A with each person who presents so that you can ask any questions you have about what we have going on in Cleveland in the music scene. So Lisa Vinciquerra from the Rock Hall was not able to make it today because she was traveling and had a hang up with that. So she just wanted to share, I had put it up on our Facebook page, the link to register if you want to submit your band to play live at the Rock Hall. That is, you just go on the Rock Hall site and search band submission on their site, and you could also check on our Facebook page. And they basically look for bands who have a large social media following, and then they ask you to play at least one song in your set from one Rock Hall inductee from any class. So that's open to all of you to do. Any bands who are interested, please submit. And then up here, I have David Kennedy from Cleveland Rocks, Past, Present, Future. And I have Jeremy from Assembly for the Arts. Where are you, Jeremy? You want to come on up too? I'm going to have you present first and tell everybody what you have going on with Assembly and your postcard program.
Thanks so much. You know, I like the mic because has such a soft voice, you know? No, it's really loud, actually. You know, we're sold out today. It was standing room only, according to Eventbrite, so I'm really thrilled that you offered to host. First off, a special shout out to Bob Stop for having us. I always love being here. Let's give him a hand. This place is really one of the reasons why I'm here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jeremy Johnson. I'm the head of this newish organization. It's called Assembly for the Arts. Now, some of you have heard this about 5,010 times, but for those of you who haven't heard it, Assembly for the Arts is here for you. We're meant to be an umbrella, supportive organization for the entire arts and culture industry across Greater Cleveland. So what does that mean? It means two things. We're going to expand the pie of resources. That's code for money. Expand the pie of resources that come to this industry that's invested in the industry. And we're going to increase the equity across the land as we do all of this work. And in case you haven't heard, you have been paying taxes and you have been supporting a government, federal government, that is sending money back to Cleveland and Cuyahoga County because of the big pandemic, the COVID crisis. I want to ask a question. Many of you are artists and musicians in this room. Were any of you negatively impacted financially by the COVID crisis? If you were, would you raise your hand? If you had any financial difficulties because of the COVID crisis. The good news is there have been a number of safety net programs, and there's another one coming. It's called ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act. And unless you've been under a rock, you've heard that $500 million with a B is coming to Cleveland. Another $250 million is coming to Cuyahoga County. So why am I standing in front of you between us and these other great speakers to mention this? Because we are fighting to make sure that a portion of those billions of dollars gets back to invested, gets back and becomes invested in those of us who are in the arts and creative field who were negatively impacted by the pandemic over the last 2 years. There are three broad categories that we're working with to make sure they get supported. nonprofit cultural institutions, individual artists and creative workers, and thirdly, for-profit places such as live music venues. This is really important because arts and culture means so much to Greater Cleveland, to our vitality. You all know how much these mean to our health, to a quality of life. I'm not going to do that speech right now, but I will do this speech. We're testifying before city council members, county council members, we're writing letters, but it occurred to some of our arts community, why don't we use the arts to make the case for it? Not just another boring letter or boring testimony from Jeremy. So you can play a role too. We've got some artful postcards from every single ward of the city of Cleveland. Cuyahoga County is going to be coming up soon. Wait for it, those of you from outside of Cleveland. On your tables, you have a bunch of postcards. They look just like this. So what do you do with them? Well, there's an instruction sheet, but I'll give you a shortcut. Get out a pen, get out a crayon, get out blood, put something on these cards, and leave them here with my wonderful colleague, Meg Macco. Raise your hand, Meg. We're going to send these, literally send these and bring them to our Cleveland City Council and to other officials to let them know that you were negatively impacted by this COVID crisis, and we need to continue to invest in our arts and culture environment and so many things that makes Cleveland a great place to be. We're a $9.1 billion industry supporting 65,000 jobs. There's more information. If you don't want to read this, just go to our website, www.assemblycle.org. We're a nonprofit organization meant to support all of you. Thank you so much. I see some familiar faces and a lot of new faces. I look forward to talking with you and hearing your questions later on. Thank you. Take your favorite postcard.
I forgot to thank Gabe for offering the Bop Stop. That was the first thing I was going to say, and I forgot. So thank you so much for offering use of your venue. It's an amazing venue. So we're going to have David Kennedy from Cleveland Rocks talk next about programming. And then we're going to have an intermission, I guess, with, and we'll have David introduce Davidian, who's going to play the sax for us. And afterwards, we have a lot of big announcements from Sean Watterson, Listen CLE, and Destination Cleveland are all going to come up and talk after we have our little break. Okay. David.
Hi, everybody. My name's David. I work at Cleveland Rocks, past, present, and future. We are a nonprofit in Cleveland here focused on the history, preservation, and advancement of Cleveland area music. We're offering several different types of programming throughout the year, but since you mentioned the support for artists and the negative economic impact, one of the most recent successful campaigns and programming that we had was the Musicians Relief Fund, where we took in donations and distributed them via grants to local musicians and venue workers at the early parts of the pandemic. Now we're offering a music incubator program for musicians in our area as one of the resources to support them. It's a microloan program where individual artists, music entrepreneurs, music professionals can come in and propose projects in a community-based networking session, discussion kind of roundtable with other professionals and artists to think about projects that they wanted to do, to work on proposals with help and support from connections and advisors in our group, and be connected to resources and be loaned money at very low interest. We're offering loans at 1% interest of up to $2,000 for musicians. And then they get, the people who apply and become part of our group get a chance to, excuse me, meet regularly with other musicians who are looking to do the same kind of thing. We meet twice a month and work with other professionals and build out their ideas and benefit from networking, professional development, community support, direction to access for resources, planning, help with project management. So that's one of the things we're doing this year, Music Incubator Program. I think this is going to be a perennial program for us. We're always actively seeking donations to support that, but we're also always actively seeking people interested in coming in and applying for funds and also becoming part of our group as professionals to help advise and give support to other musicians. Other stuff we have coming up on our calendar this year, we have 34 live streams coming up with area bands. We're going to be programming both indoor and outdoor concerts with 2 bands apiece. Check out our YouTube page and our Facebook page for this, Cleveland Rocks, Past, Present, and Future. We have our most recent live stream up right now. There's another one going on right now over at the Beachland Tavern with Morning of Black Star tonight. But we had Jay Wolf at the beginning and Jacob Borman at the beginning of this year, and we're going to have another 30 bands that we're going to be live streaming this year. We have a great artist resources page on our website. I would love for you all to check this out. ClevelandRocksPPF.org is our website. And on the page at the top, there's this link that says Artist Resources. And there's a local music industry resource list there that has things like venues and how to contact them, local booking agencies and promoters, radio stations, podcasting companies, record labels, recording studios, equipment rental, T-shirt printing, advertising, media publications and outlets, education, grants and government-funded opportunities listed on there. There's also a submission portion of that page. So one, there's this nice laundry list of available connections to the industry for area musicians. 2, there's ability to submit more. So if you have a business that you want us to add to that, if you know of a resource that would be helpful, we have a submission form on that page. So really trying to build that out and make a clearinghouse for area artists and musicians and producers and planners and programmers to come together and find out what we have. I think there's another really good resource like that out there for the film industry. I'd really like to build ours up to be as good as the resource list and how to film in Cleveland, to have musicians come to our page and look and see how to record in Cleveland, how to put on an event in Cleveland, and find all the connections they need to make there. So your input is valued in that place. And also, there's a lot of businesses locally you can patronize on there. Some other programming we're doing, we're working on preserving and telling the history of Cleveland. Part of Cleveland Rocks Past, Present, and Future is the past, and we're talking about like interviewing artists, particularly our aging artists in Cleveland, helping tell the stories of artists from Cleveland. One of our board members right now is working on a film here in town called Soul City Cleveland, talking about the history of soul music and funk music in Cleveland. There's a lot of untold, or there's a lot of Cleveland history that not necessarily untold, but isn't connected to particularly the young people in our, young music listeners in our city. And there's kind of a generation gap, I think, between people who were around for a long time in Cleveland and saw the amount of history of local music and where we are now. So I think one of the big important parts of our mission is to continue to preserve and tell those stories and make them available and connect with people to keep the past going into the future, our history going into the future. Along with that, Cleveland Rocks Past, Present, and Future is envisioning a new space on Collinwood called the Nomad Campus to have a multi-use facility that's a resource for local musicians and music professionals. And someday we envision it having retail and production facilities and support services and offices. But right now, what we're doing to help local musicians is coming up, besides booking people for these live streams, offering these loans to the Music Incubator Program, we're going to start offering professional development workshops free of charge for local musicians starting this month, March 20th, over at the Beachland Tavern on Sunday afternoon. Once a month for 4 months in a row, offering workshops around things like writing a bio as an artist, building a press kit, marketing yourself effectively, really looking at the resources an artist would need to move themselves forward. Our first presentation will be at workshop. It's going to be interactive. We'll have some journalists, some writers there to help artists write and craft their own bios. And we're going to have some photographers there to offer to take free headshots and band photos on site there. And then we're also planning art gallery shows later on in the year where we'll use materials from that. So if you come over to our workshop and write your bio and get help and feedback on your bio, and then get your photograph taken to have a professional headshot, we're going to ask you if we can use your photo in a future art gallery show to feature photos of local area artists and maybe help you promote you that way. But looking at connecting the different pieces of our somewhat not joined music industry here to improve the overall economic impact and outlook for artists and the scene in general. So that's kind of the plan. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
What day? You said once a month. Which day?
It's going to be on the third Sunday of the month in the afternoon, like 2 to 4. And we'll be putting out an email blast. Go to Cleveland Rocks Past, Present, and Future, clevelandrocksppf.org. Join our email list. Get on the list. Check out our calendar on that page. Check out our Facebook page. We'll be updating the links and offering Eventbrite registration and things like that on there. Thank you. Well, great. Any other questions? No, that's terrific. Thank you all for showing up. I really appreciate it. Oh, I want to introduce the man with the music, our entertainer for this evening, Davidion Pearl, Sax and Tracks. Where are you, Davidion? Are you going to come on up and play something for us, please? You get the vibe going, man. You all know Davidion Pearl from DLHR.
Not to put you on the spot, Lisa or Dave, but I will say first that I am I'm working with the Music Incubator project that Dave spoke about, and I have to tell you that is manna from heaven. And thank you, Cleveland Rocks Past, Present, and Future, for helping me out through the pandemic, because that was tough, very tough, and almost as tough as what we're going through today. I know it's on all of your minds. I'm also a travel journalist, and I spent time in Ukraine, and I have friends there. And I'd like to take one quick second, if we could take 10 seconds of silence for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. So I'm checking the news all day, every day. Haven't had to live that way. I've been in some war-torn countries. People ask, why do you go there? Why do you go to Haiti? Why do you go to El Salvador? Why do you go to Turkey, to Syria, whatever? It's to get the story. And that's how it's brave people like that helps us to get these stories. And it's only because of the lottery of life, the randomness of the lottery of life, that we weren't born there. Americans, we make up 5% of the world population. 5%. We could have been born anywhere else under any other circumstances. But here we are here today on Mardi Gras, no less. The country is doing its thing. But I wanted to just make that clear, that we are blessed. Each and every one of us are blessed, that we weren't born in some war-torn, some place in the middle of wherever, watching our families get whatever, okay? We're born in a country where we can be born into poverty, and we can grow to become whatever we want through the accessibility that we have with education and healthcare and resources. So many other parts of the world, 70% of the world doesn't make what a minimum wage worker makes in our country. Okay? So every day we should give thanks for that, because it wasn't our own doing. Never is. Now, on to the next thing. I see that there's some influencers here and some other artists too. I know that Lisa wasn't able to make it here, as you said. So maybe we have a little time to maybe invite some of the artists here to talk about their projects, or maybe Amanda, I don't know. I'm just wondering if maybe we could add a little bit of something into the time that we have.
I think there's a bunch of speakers right after this.
Bunch of speakers right after this, so it turns out that my idea didn't quite pan out. That is all right.
Amanda is going to come up.
Oh, and Amanda, she's got, okay. Okay.
We appreciate you wanting to share the love.
All right, with that, I'm going to play you off. Play you off, okay. All right. All right, so we're celebrating with the friends in New Orleans, yeah? Who have been down to New Orleans, huh? Oh, yeah. So our brothers and sisters are down there celebrating, and likely some Ukrainians too. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is Saxon Tracks, and it's got, every now and then, might have a hiccup or two, but just bear with me. I'm a middle-aged man, pushing 50, trying to figure this whole thing out myself. Still young. Still young.
Thank you very much. 5 more. I got one more for you, baby. This one I'm going to dedicate to our Ukraine friends. Not that one. Hey, Gabe, can you turn up a little bit in the monitor, please? Thank you very much. Appreciate playing for you.
Thank you, Davidian.
Thank you, Lisa.
Is this one working too, or just? Okay, we're going to bring some other people up. Destination Cleveland, Anson, Listen CLE, and Sean Watterson, if you could all come up. So from Listen CLE, we have Amanda Nix and Michael McFarland. From Destination Cleveland, we have Anson Hall. And is Gabe Wasilko still here? Or he left, okay. And then we have Sean Watterson of the Happy Dog. I think you all know Sean. And Sean is also helping our economic recovery. So do we still have our downtown people here, downtown residents? Pete, Don? Where's Don? I see you. So Pete had a question. I brought in some downtown residents to come and hear about our music industry here. And Pete and I were talking, and he had some questions. I was telling him that Sean Watterson was going to be up here and might be able to answer.
Give it my best. Yeah. Go for it. Well, thanks for the question. Some of that is paying the artists, which you might have heard through the mic from up here before I even had a chance to answer. You know, places have to pay people to play, and they have to create the space. You know, it's not just a matter of saying, okay, show up. You know, there is equipment that you need to have if you're going to be hosting a musician, all of that kind of stuff. And I think sometimes what happens when people think of music cities like Nashville or New Orleans, where there's like a central district and the perception is all the clubs are on kind of a music row, and why doesn't Cleveland have that? Well, our scene is a different scene. When you think about our scene, our clubs anchor all of our neighborhoods. I mean, Kathy Blackman's here. Coventry exists because the grog shop is there as an anchor driving traffic. Same thing for the Waterloo Arts District. We're that in Gordon Square, but Mayhalls and Winchester is that in Birdtown, and now that's Class and Brothers are that for West Cleveland, Edgewater. You know, the way our scene has developed, especially with the original music, that is neighborhood-based, and that's an economic driver in our neighborhoods. And that's part of the argument we're making to the Bibb administration. You know, they've committed to recommending $10 million for the arts in the American Rescue Plan funding. Their focus is on the neighborhoods, and we're saying, hey, that's where the artists live, and the cultural workforce, the people who are working in this industry, live, even if they're working downtown or in University Circle. But I think sometimes we get enamored of these scenes in these other places. But if you talk to somebody in Nashville, the real Nashville music scene isn't Broadway. It's Broadway, right? Yeah. So that's yeah. Like that's not where the real music in Nashville is. It's in the Rock Block. It's at the Exit Inn. It's at these other places. So I think what we don't have in downtown Cleveland if you're thinking of it in terms of like jazz in New Orleans and country western in Nashville, we don't have that same scene in our downtown, like classic rock cover bands playing. No, we don't have that. Yeah. Hey everybody, this is Anson from Destination Cleveland. No. That's a combination. That was an art installation that preceded the Republican National Convention, and so it was an attempt to try and connect the lakefront. Yeah. All right, we'll tell David.
Well, it's a good question. I know we don't program the speakers, and I don't think we own them. So we may have suggested as an organization that this would be a good idea, but I actually don't know who's controlling them turning on and off. But I can certainly find out because it's a great point. I agree.
I will say that's a big part of why we created Listen CLE, which you're going to hear a little bit more about. And one of our biggest initiatives is to get more local music into more local venues and onto the streets of Cleveland. So we actually have quite a few things in the works for that, but we've created local playlists that we'd love to hear through those speakers, 6 to 8 hours per list. So you're not hearing the same stuff over and over again. And we'd love to get that. We're working on getting them into bars and restaurants and retail stores and offices. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some different parts of the program. But this is a good time to mention, we are building playlists for that music to get in without having to pay a performer to stand there, because I do know that is a problem for a lot of places. But we're also saying, if the venues aren't paying, we'll find places on the streets and we will put the music downtown. And that's a big part of what we're going to talk about in a little bit here. So we created an organization specifically to answer your question, and we're working on it. But keep giving us feedback and keep helping us figure out where the hot spots are so we can target those and go full force at it. Oh, we'll be there. We'll be there.
So I get for sitting on the end. So I had a couple of updates on some things that are coming to Cleveland this summer, where I think there's an opportunity for the entire music industry, the music scene to plug into. One of them is a conference that the Rock Hall, apparently snaked from Louisville, Kentucky. It's called The Gathering. It's going to happen June 15, 16, and 17. And that is a conference of alternative radio music programmers. So they are very much interested in alternative music, alternative bands, alternative singers, songwriters. So we've already been talking to the Rock Hall, just in general terms, about trying to take as much advantage for the Cleveland music scene, having that here. And the Rock Hall is really good about taking that into consideration. So that's one to keep on your calendar, and it's something for us to keep in mind as we have these conversations going forward on a monthly basis, figuring out what things can we plug into that, like Listen CLE, like anything else we can come up with. The other one, and we mentioned this, I think, at the last conference, or the last one of these conversations, but it's confirmed. The National Independent Venue Association, which is the group that did the work on the Save Our Stages campaign, they're going to have their initial conference in Cleveland July 10, 11, and 12, which is great. And that's because of the work that the clubs in Ohio and the other venues did, and because a lot of those folks were able to come to the Rock Hall induction because the Rock Hall was generous in inviting them and getting them tickets. They loved their experience in Cleveland. They want to come back. So the advanced team for that is actually in town tomorrow and Thursday. July 10, 11, and 12. It's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. July 9th and 10th is Wonderstruck Festival that Elevation Group puts on out at Lake Erie Community College. And there's a lot of other stuff going on. But we expect to have between 500 and 800 people in town for that. And that's going to be club owners, independent club owners, and promoters and staff at those venues, plus the National Independent Talent Organization, so the talent representatives, so the booking agencies are also going to come in town and kind of do they're not necessarily doing a parallel conference. I think they're just going to the parties, but they will be in town. So to the extent that we can show off what we do in Cleveland to that group, that's going to be helpful. And I did talk to the Bibb administration earlier today, and I think Mayor Bibb is going to address that conference. So there's good buy-in there. We've been working with Destination Cleveland on that NEVA conference. So those are positives. I guess one other thing I should probably say before I pass the mic along, because the announcement came out this morning. Happy Dog is part of this independent booking collective called Detour. Thank you. This is an outgrowth of the work that brought all of the NEVA people together, and the idea is to get artists in the right independent rooms in cities all across the country. Our focus is really on the artist development side, because when I came into it, I said, there are a dozen Cleveland bands I could tell you off the top of my head that are fantastic, that should be playing in the right clubs across the country or in a regional circuit through the Great Lakes. Is that something that we can focus on when we put this together? And that's very much at the core of what Detour is about. And so hopefully we will be able to work collaboratively, us and Grog Shop and Beachland and all the independents in town, making sure that Cleveland gets music that might have otherwise passed us by. But also, hopefully we will be in a position to work with Cleveland Rocks and with Cleveland bands to help get them out on the road, make that a little bit easier to get short tours, regional tours, even national tours together. So just passing that information along, and I'll shut up and pass it to Anthony.
Yep.
Pete, are you still up there? I can't see anything. One thing I want to mention too, with anyone who has a large social media following, so I know some of you from in downtown have great followings. Please, when you see musicians, share online, share on Twitter, whatever, TikTok, anything that you guys are on, share so that people start hearing about some of the bands. Just as you come across them, if you do see street performers or happen to catch a show, just start getting word around, because there's a lot of people who don't know the talent that we have here in Cleveland. So any help that we could get from people sharing, that would be great.
Thank you. Before I start, Sean was underselling how pivotal he was in bringing NEVA here in that conference. So how about a quick round of applause? That's a huge opportunity for Cleveland and something that we're certainly excited about and all behind it. In fact, I think there's a group in town this week touring. So we're excited about that. So just a little bit about, my name's Anson Hall with Destination Cleveland. Just a big thank you to Bob Stopp and the staff and everyone in the room tonight. Bartenders, thank you. And really thanks to all you for the incredible work you're doing in the music industry, because at Destination Cleveland, for those that don't know, so we're Cleveland's destination management and marketing organization, and that's just a fancy way of saying we try and get people to come to Cleveland and have a great time here. And we really exist to amplify the work that is being done in Cleveland and the great things happening. And we can't really do that unless there's some organization and cohesion, and that's what this room is all about, and what's been so cool to witness over the past few months, or I guess a year almost, that these conversations have been happening. So just thank you to everyone, and thank you to Lisa for doing such a great job coordinating these. So just a few quick things on updates relative to what we're looking at music-wise for Destination Cleveland. I mentioned this at the November music industry conversation at the Dog. There's a music passport that we want to launch this year. We don't quite know what it is, but who better to talk to than people in this room? The passport concept has gained tremendous popularity in recent years, in part just because it's a way to aggregate cool experiences and incentivize participation. So we have a brewery passport that launched in 2018 that recently relaunched that's popular. We've been working on expressions of Black culture, public art passport, international restaurant passport. We know a music passport needs to be part of the conversation. And these are digitally curated experiences that are free to download direct to your smartphone. They look and feel like an app, but they're not. And users are encouraged to check in different places along the passport. And then as an added incentive, some passports offer prizes, different giveaways to get people to participate, in addition to the passports themselves being a great experience, which is really the goal. So we know we want to do a music passport at some point this year, and we'd love input from this group on what might make sense. We're not entirely sure what it would look like I mentioned, so more to come on that, but would love to continue the conversation afterwards for anyone that has ideas. And in future music industry conversations, maybe we even coordinate, a dedicated meeting to brainstorm ideas. And take it from there. So that's one thing. And then Sean hit on some of the music industry meetings and conventions, but it's a good opportunity to just share more about this program we have called Cleveland Champions, which is how we try and work with members of the community to bring meetings, conventions, and events to Cleveland. So we have a dedicated sales team at Destination Cleveland that meets with meeting planners all over the country for different associations, large and small, to try and get them to consider Cleveland for a meeting, event, conference, convention, you name it. But we only have so many people on that team, and who better to sell Cleveland than the community and to help? And so we're here to support anyone that has connections with national or global music organizations or affiliations or associations that meet regularly, whether it's annually or quarterly. Anyone that's gathering in a large amount of people, which fortunately, hopefully, as we're getting through this, is happening more frequently, we can help bring that meeting to Cleveland, and that's how we've been partnering with NEVA to try and get them, and get them to come to Cleveland with everyone's support. So I just wanted to mention that. So if you're interested or you have ideas, I'm going to be around after this and would love to talk. If anyone has connections on ways we can bring more music-related conferences and events to Cleveland. I think that's it. There's a lot. I know Listen CLE has a really great update, so I'll pass it along, and thank you.
Hey everyone, I am Amanda Nix of Listen CLE, and this is Michael McFarland, who is also of Listen CLE. We are local performers. He's a musician. I'm a kind of circus and dance performer, and we started Listen CLE end of 2019 with an ambitious 2020 marketing goal that when everything shut down, we couldn't really do much about. And then Destination Cleveland stepped up and said, hey, let's meet with the music community, and said, hey, who knows about buskers? And we said, we do. And here we are about a year later, and we are about to tell you guys a little bit about the 5th event that we have managed to coordinate performers for in downtown Cleveland. We were able to do some street performance for the NBA All-Star Weekend. We had an entire weekend full of programming, both outdoor, largely outdoor. So thank you to everyone who came to those outdoor performances in 12 degrees. Thank you especially to all the musicians who played in 12 degrees. I think that shows us just how hardy Cleveland is for the music industry. And I gotta say, these I couldn't believe how everyone kept their instruments, whether it's their voices or their physical instruments, in tune in that cold. But we did have somebody say we didn't. We did have I think 20 different acts. Most of them were out on Playhouse Square, which was incredible. We were right there on US Bank Plaza, right by the big chandelier. We actually got to be on the stage. They turned the stage lights on. They turned the fire pit on. Playhouse Square was incredible to work with. And big thanks to Destination Cleveland for opening that door and just making it possible. We also want to thank Assembly for the Arts, who have come in, stepped up, and just blown us all away by being there. I mean, yeah, big round of applause. They don't just come here and talk. They're out there too. Both of the representatives over at the table were downtown in the cold, rocking out with us, and like that was huge. Everyone from Destination Cleveland that we've worked with has been there in person. Just, showing up and really becoming a part of the fabric is amazing. Thank you. Also, a quick shout out to the Awesome Foundation, who provided grant funding for us to offer tents and shelters and small portable heaters. The heaters didn't do as much. We had to get small ones because otherwise we needed to get them permitted. But they did at least kind of help keep you from getting frostbite between songs. So thank you, Awesome Foundation, for a contribution there. So like I said, we had 20 different acts out. We also had a few acts that were in the Destination Cleveland Visitor Center. It sounds like that all went really well over there. I was actually out in the cold the whole time, so I didn't get to check in there. But we had tons of passersby who were so engaged, even in the cold. And I'm glad we have downtown residents here, because that was what surprised me the most, is that we had people who live in the Hannah building, people who work right there in Playhouse Square. They were coming down and they were specifically saying, arms full of groceries. They were taking their time out in the cold. Well, they got 10 bags on each arm to say, we need more of this. We moved to this space because we thought there would be stuff here. And now there's stuff here. Please tell me this will keep happening. And we absolutely want it to keep happening. And it sounds like there will be some opportunities to keep putting live music downtown, not just attached to events. So far, the events we've done, besides NBA, we did the NFL draft back in April, which was rainy and cold because it's Cleveland. But we still had 15 different acts that showed up for that one. We programmed some performers for Ingenuity on the Lake, including Davidian, wherever he ended up. Yeah. Yep, he was out there. We did some work with the Cleveland Public Libraries during the Maker Faire week, and then we also were able to put some local performers inside the galleries at the Rock Hall, which is huge during Rock Hall Induction Week. So they were opening their doors to local performers there for this huge spotlight. It's been great to do these things, and it sounds like we have, how many did we identify in that meeting yesterday, you guys? Was it 8 different massive conferences and events that are coming to Cleveland where there will be opportunities for this? And then we're also looking at, not just tying everything to an event. Where are the spaces downtown that we can be programming? Playhouse Square has been wonderful. We're going to go talk to them and say, hey, can we put people here more often? We're looking at Space by the Rock Hall. They were interested in maybe, working together for more regular, just average, everyday programming. We'd love to do something with UCI. We'd love to do something at the airport. We've got a couple. What's that? Public Square's on the list. They have somebody there who is doing programming that's in-house. So I know the person, and we've had a couple conversations, but it's more that they have their own thing going. So we're looking at places that don't have somebody who's equipped to do it. If they have somebody, great. They should be doing they're doing the job. They're getting people out there. But a lot of organizations, it's not what they specialize in. Playhouse Square specializes in filling those theaters. Do they specialize in local music? Probably not. Right now, especially coming out of the pandemic, budgets have been, impacted, staffs have been impacted. Can we take some of that off of people's shoulders? Can we become the experts on who's a good fit for these outdoor spaces? Can we coordinate that so that we can take it off of somebody else's long, long list and make it our focus? And it sounds like those doors will continue to be opening up. Our musicians give us great feedback. The only negative feedback we got from the NBA programming was, it's really cold. But everybody said that if you took away the cold, every bit of the rest of the experience was fantastic. We did have people tipping. We're working to build initially it was to build a busking culture that's kind of standalone. But as we're seeing good reception in these intentionally programmed spaces that aren't public property and aren't open for actual busking, that do need coordination, it's becoming more and more appetizing to dig into that and say, all right, we can provide power, we can provide lights, we can provide tents if we are on this, if we're on US Bank Plaza, if we are on Rock Hall property, if we can work with Public Square, that'd be great. If we can work with University Circle. And I keep saying it, but my big one to target is the airport. Airport. And they were very open to the idea of putting local performers there during the NBA programming, but there were a couple of conflicts with other programming that was scheduled there. So we know that there is interest. We know that these places are opening doors, putting trust in us and in Cleveland performers, and they are not being disappointed. One of the biggest things I can share from the NBA activations was that Playhouse Square's marketing department was messaging me on Instagram while I'm standing out there saying, make sure all the performers are tagging us so we can share them. And I don't know if y'all realize that that is one of the biggest things that can happen when you're on the streets of Cleveland, is for the second biggest playhouse organization in the country to retweet you, to share your stories, to put you on their media because they're so impressed. And we know that the Cleveland performers speak for themselves. We just got to get them out there. So that is very much one of our big goals right now. We do have, like I said, we've got a few different things targeted. Sounds like we're having more conferences coming into Cleveland asking where can we put performers. And because we have all these things coming up, we are tonight unveiling a really big new piece of Listen CLE programming that we're really excited about, that will help us out with all these requests and help people who do have somebody. And I'm going to let Michael tell you about our new project.
Okay. So first, y'all need to give Amanda a big round of applause, because she mentioned the performers that were out there, and they were out there for an hour at a time performing. She was out there all day supporting them. I was there for Sunday when it was, almost above freezing, and I barely made it through that. She was there the entire weekend, so she deserves a huge amount of credit for that. So the new project that we've been, sort of keeping under wraps and quietly building, it does one piece of answering the question that was asked earlier about why don't these places have music. And the one of the things about getting music into a venue is you have to, 1, be able to know who the musicians are, 2, know how to contact them, 3, know if they're going to be a good fit for your venue. So we have started building out a multifaceted performer database that we're making this free. We're making this available to musicians to self-service add themselves to the database, and it's going to be made available to local businesses or organizations that are looking for entertainment. So say you're looking for a jazz musician, you're looking for one that doesn't require power hookups to do it. That's you can select all of these criteria, and it will give you a list of all of those. So we've been putting this through its paces in sort of an alpha stage of the build. There are a few performers that are in the room. I think Craig's here. He was one of our testers. Craig Rich is in the system right there. Yeah, he's actually right there. That's his face. So we've been running it through some tests, and we are going to be collecting email addresses if people want to be part of the next stage, where we're trying to get every performer in Cleveland into this, so that when people are looking for a performer, for whether it's an event, whether it's for to play at their restaurant, whether it's for a small street festival that's being put together, anything like that, they are able to go to this and find the right kind of performer, find where they can find out their socials, all of that kind of information. This also we're looking at using as a way for, one of the things, let me back up a tiny bit, one of the things that we've noticed in the process of curating live music for some of these events is not every musician has what's called an electronic press kit ready to go. They don't have one link where you can read about them, you can find all of their stuff, you can see pictures of them. And this we are planning to make available as a free, quick way that musicians, they fill out this form, they've got their stuff on this website as an electronic press kit that they can link to. A third advantage to this is for us when we're curating. We've been doing booking for events. We ran house concerts, so we've seen hundreds of musicians around here. Being able to, when it comes time for the next NBA All-Star game, something like that we're putting out a call for performers. We can reach out to the people that are in this database as opposed to trying all the different social channels of like, please share this form, please share this form, please fill out this form again. We already have their information. We've got their contact information. We have all of that ready to go that, all we need for them to do is say, yes, we're interested and available for this, and we can put them on the list of potential performers for these events. So this is all being built entirely out of pocket. We've been starting from scratch, and I'm going to let Amanda take back over and talk about the path forward that we've got to fully realize this.
Yeah, so we are, as always, if you've heard us speak before or have ever talked to me about anything, we are unrelenting, shameless self-promoters, which is why you'll see Listen CLE cards on all the tables. So please visit listencle.com to learn more. We have all of the playlists on there. They're all Spotify playlists. We encourage you to check out all the different moods. If you know a business that wants to play local music, there's information on there for how they can legally stream local music to make sure artists are getting residuals. We also have info sheets and stuff if you do have a business or someone you know who runs a local business that would be interested. We also want to do things like provide signage to places that do play local music, and that's one thing that costs money. Building websites, building these programs, it costs money. And we've been very lucky that Michael is an amazing graphic designer and web designer, and that I am, again, shameless and unrelenting as a marketer. And so we have done quite a bit just out of pocket on our free time, but we are really hungry for a little bit more funding so we can really make an impact. We've made an impact. We've again, thank you to Destination Cleveland, Assembly for the Arts, CPL, Ingenuity, a couple other places have provided funding to pay musicians to help us slowly build some programming. But the next leaps are much bigger, and we will need a few more dollars than what is in our artist and musician pockets. So if you know someone with deep pockets who wants to support Cleveland, Cleveland music, please send them our way. We are going to be launching sometime in either March or April a crowdfunding campaign. We are working on getting match funding, so keep an eye out for that. That means that every dollar that you donate gets doubled in real time. So we are hoping to have that ready pretty soon. But we're also looking for any grants to help cover this web development and some of the longer term things. We're looking for marketing, maybe even sponsorships as we're trying to put signage. We want to be able to provide these things to businesses for free, so there's more incentive to do it. We also are always looking for event sponsors when we have an event that we are trying to put performers at. We'd love to have event sponsors, performance stipends that you can provide to pay the musicians. And of course, your time is a great way to help make this better. We are always looking for people to take over small tasks. Lisa has been an incredible volunteer for us already. Just even reviewing documents and doing some data collection. We're trying to build more information in databases. We're trying to get to more people. This database requires people to fill out the form and self-select in. So we need your help in getting these things out to people. And eventually we are working also on building a street team that will go to local businesses and say, hey, you should be playing local music. Here's how. And while we like to be out and about, we're also quite busy. So we can only do like 10 businesses a day, and we want to do 100 businesses a day. And if we can get 10 other people that can each do 10 businesses a day, we can do that. So if you are interested in getting involved, either donating, sponsoring, doing some volunteer work, or even if you just know somebody who does, please let us know. We have we have built a lot of this with the support of the community and with some really great funders and supporters. And the next phase opens, we're going up that funnel. So we're going to need more and more as we keep going. But it is making a real difference, and we are really excited about what's coming up. Help us keep it going. Help us keep it going.
Stacy Richardson, are you still here? Would you mind coming up? Stacy is an administrator for Musical.ly, a private group on Facebook, and Musical.ly 2. And she's doing very, very important work. I've been a member of her group for quite a while, and we cross-pollinate pretty much, I guess I would say. Stacy's an amazing singer too. I mean, like, amazing. Look her up. So, I just want to give you a chance to talk about your group, and if you can like share what Amanda's talking about too. That's why I want to bring everybody together, so that we can get all the musicians across all genres and everything to populate their site and kind of all work towards one cause.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm Stacy Richardson. My stage name is Sarah's Girl. I sing jazz and R&B around the Cleveland area mostly, but I was on the road for years with Niles McKinney back there. We were on the road with Gerald Levert for a long time, and I just felt a need when I see a lot of the African American musicians here in Cleveland. A lot of the men support each other, but the women weren't supporting the women the same way they would support the men. So I just figured, I'll do something and include the women in it, because there were like 4 females who had projects coming out and nobody was talking about it. So I thought maybe there would be 10, 20 people that might join our Facebook page. And it's over 300 African American females and whoever else wants to be involved. And I have Amanda and Lisa on. So basically, I'm just representing the women. But we also have, I just opened it up to Musical.ly 2 as well, which is all of the musicians, male and female, that are basically gospel, R&B, jazz artists, and anybody's welcome. So I do have it is a nonprofit. We haven't done much with it because as soon as we got it, everything shut down. So now that things are opening up, we're gonna start doing more programming. So thank you for including me and us. There's a few of us in here. So we definitely love to help out with whatever we can do.
I do want to say that we get quite a few of our signups out of the Musical.ly groups, and it's one of the places that is most responsive to opportunities, and it's just great to have a place to put that and make sure it's being seen, and these opportunities are being given to everyone, depending on where they are. So if you've got a group that you want these things shared to, let us know, and if you've got more people to share with, also let us know. And oh, Donnie, are you that who it is? Hell yeah. Okay, Donnie was out there in, 12 degrees? Wind chill was like 12. Yeah, down to 8. And this is, when I was saying about how I couldn't believe they kept their voices in shape, it was Donnie I was specifically thinking about. Because this is my favorite story from being down there. Like Michael said, I was down there the whole time. While Donnie was singing, a giant limousine pulled up and was stopped at the light right behind where the stage was. And there was a security car in front and behind, so we knew it was somebody big. And I don't think we even needed power and amplification for Donnie's voice, but it was like ricocheting off the buildings, and you could see the sunroof of this limo pull back, and then this little red camera came up like a little periscope, and they had to get honked at to keep going when the green light turned because they were so entranced by Donnie's performance. So give it up for Donnie Lene.
I'm one of the administrators with Stacy for Musical.ly, the Musical.ly groups. And it's so much talent in Cleveland, it's ridiculous. And as a Cleveland artist who has traveled to other places, and you guys can attest to this, like, if you can make it in Cleveland, you can make it anywhere. And there is a certain kind of grind that if you can sing out in 8-degree weather, you know, for tips. You know, like, if you ain't singing out in 8-degree weather, I don't know, you know, how strong you are as a musician. Clevelanders got it, you know, when we are busking, our busking is like extreme busking. So I'm really grateful for the Listen Clee programming and everything that they're doing, because it does let other people know, you know, that we do have talent, you know, that's visual. You can see us. We are present. We are here. When we go to places like Nashville, you get off the plane and there's 52 people playing in the airport before you even get to your Uber. You know, when you're going into their conference centers, people are performing in the conference centers. So I think that was a really pivotal experience for me, to be out in the elements and to be out where we're having these large events, to be able to perform, and people see that Cleveland has talent. Cleveland has musicians. It's a huge musical scene. We just need to have those opportunities to be able to be seen. So whatever it is that I can do to encourage the folks in Musical.ly, you know, I'm always sharing stuff from people that I see. Like if I am going through Facebook and someone else has shared your music or your post, I'm sharing it. I'm putting it in those groups because we want to make sure that, you know, folks know who you are. Outside of our regular sphere of influence, but also so that when those opportunities come, people know people. We can say, oh, well, this person does this, and I know a musician who does that, or, you know, and even in Musical.ly, we're sharing more than just performance things. We're sharing about the music business. We're sharing about starting and running businesses. We're sharing about grants and funding and other opportunities as well. And so I really appreciate Listen Clee, Lisa, and Amanda really for partnering with us and inviting us in so that we can get to know more people that are outside of our arena, so that we can make Cleveland stronger. Oh, gosh, stronger together. But you know what I mean. Like, I think that's going to be some great stuff. So I'm looking forward to channeling, you know, digging into all of my channels to see who got the deep pockets. Like, who's the folks who you know, may be in other sectors. Like, healthcare is huge, and healthcare got money. They got a whole lot of money these last 2 years that they ain't got nothing to do with. Well, we're going to figure out a way that we can get their philanthropy departments to pay for this. It's different. It's different. You got to look at this stuff in a whole different way. So I'm willing to dig into my channels and work with other folks to go into the other industries to see how we can have them support what we're doing here, because it all matters and it all kind of comes together. So thank you, guys.
On that note, I do think once one domino falls, the rest do, right? So we've already got our meat hooks into some good juicy places, and we're not letting go. And I want to throw out there, I meant to mention before, but we also are going to have this laptop up with this page that's in front of me is our mailing list sign up. Thank you. For losing words now. Our mailing list sign up, we have just started to work on a mailing list. We would love performers in it, but we'd love anyone who's interested in just keeping up with us. We're going to be sending out opportunities. We're going to be sending out just anything that we have that's relevant as we come up with it. We promise we're not going to spam you, at least not yet. Once we have all of our gears turning, you're gonna hear a lot from us, because things are happening, and we just want to make sure we can let you know. So we're gonna put this up over here on the table. I also, like I said, have info sheets and stuff. So please sign up. I also have on another tab the performer database if you want to see that. And we're happy to talk to you about it. And I also, while Donnie's up here, side note, also an entrepreneur with Brightbox Clee, which is a catering business that Destination Cleveland featured in the Visitor Center during the All-Star Game. So while we're up here sharing the love, let's make sure we share all of it. So, you know, just if you need catering and singing, there you go. There you go. Okay, I'm going to stop talking because you guys have heard me enough. Who wants to talk now?
And if you are a musician that are interested in getting into that performer database, getting on that mailing list is going to be. There we go. Getting onto that mailing list is going to be how you'll be able to get the first line into our guinea pigs to get this database populated.
Okay. Any questions from anyone?
One question.
Mm-hmm.
Is Listen CLE or Music CLE 501c3?
Yes. They are. We are not.
You're not? Okay.
Not yet. We're still determining our fate.
Is there or other plans to put together, you mentioned this database for performers to be able to load all their information into. Is there something that has been done or is being done or talked about with, let's say, different venues or?
That was something that Cleveland Rocks was working on. I can't see anybody. Are you still here, man? This is what you're addressing with yours, right? Is we also have. We did have a note when we were going to talk about this right here to do that, to say we were going to do that at some point, but then they're already doing it. So we're just going to help them. So it's all in one place. So it does sound like that's happening. We'll take care of the performers. You guys take care of the resources. Together we form Captain Planet. That's how old I am, everybody. But we do want to work with the other. We don't want to double do the work. We want everything in one spot. So we're really excited to hear that is already happening. So we can focus on one thing and we can send people to another focus spot too. And I think that's one of the cool things about exactly what's happening here is that we found out how many people are trying to do something similar. And if we combine forces, we're all greater than the sum of our parts, and we're able to, instead of everybody spending $50 on something, we're gonna have 10 people spend $500 on it, and it's gonna be way better. And I'm saying small amounts of money, but that's not true. We need more money. Did I say that before? Have I said that before? We need more money, but $50 from everybody in here means so much more is possible. So and that's not just give us money, but give all of these programs money. Cleveland Rocks is a nonprofit. Destination Cleveland's a nonprofit. Assembly for the Arts. Any of these places, when they're running fundraisers, make sure you're supporting because these are the people, especially these big guys, are the ones making difference. We're trying to make change, incrementally as we can, but there's also plenty of people who are making the big changes so that we can make our on the ground changes. In the music industry, it is a trickle down economy, not out there, but in here. So support the big guys, support the little guys. And, show up when people are singing in 8 degrees. There's another question over here, I think. Yeah, what's up?
I wonder, is there any one of you guys holding a list of live music events or venues, or where do we go to see live music? We go to one spot and see what's happening?
That's a fantastic question. So for anyone who didn't hear it, where can you find out about where live music is happening? And I do believe, Anson, you want to come up and talk about that? I think I've heard his speech enough times that I could do it, but he's better at it.
So I would start with our website, which is thisiscleveland.com/music. And that's just a starting point. I think I shared in the last Cleveland music industry conversation that we're doing our best to get all the venues on that page so it can be that central hub and source for if I want to see live music in Cleveland, where do I go? And so what's there now is a list of venues that we know about. I'm sure there's things we're missing. And then you can click through from our website to the venue's site to their concert calendar. But it's a work in progress. So if anyone out there tonight goes on it and has feedback or ideas or in the future, definitely let me know because it's definitely an evolving piece of our website.
We're also going to add links on Listen CLE to this calendar, to Cleveland Rocks, their stuff too. So.
Yeah, the website, it's kind of confusing. I don't know why it's set up this way. So we're Destination Cleveland. The website is thisiscleveland.com/music. That's our website. And And that's the easiest way to get to that page. You're welcome. Saw two questions. One thing I forgot to mention that Sean reminded me that's relevant to this conversation, and agree 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I meant to include it in our update, but one thing we're trying to do at Destination Cleveland this year is launch a Hospitality Industry Advisory Council. That's a representative cross-section of the hospitality, travel, tourism, entertainment industry. So we 100% want music representation on that advisory council. So what we're working on now is just building out the framework and what it looks like and how people get involved and all those things. But more to come, but those are exactly the types of ideas that I think this advisory council in partnership with the music industry as a whole can think about and brainstorm.
And I would just add, I took on another hat. I'm doing this hospitality sector recovery initiative. And one of the things I wrote into the job description is helping Anson set up this Hospitality Advisory Council. So we need music represented well. Kathy, you probably already anticipated I was going to hit you up to be on it. But we don't need just the venue owners. We need representatives from the entire cross-section of the music industry. So Listen CLE, Musically, all of that's going to help get the resources that Destination Cleveland needs if they want to commit to having a complete schedule, that kind of thing, to juice the artist registry, the performer registry that you've got. And actually, Assembly inherited Gordon Square's old artist registry, and there's an opportunity there to connect that stuff up. So that's going to be kind of a regular conversation point for these conversations is trying to get voices into this hospitality advisory group. And one other thing I'd say, I was just pulling up an image of Jake Kelly's Grog Shop image when we were talking about a music passport. We have visual artists who do concert posters throughout town. We can make this really cool as opposed to not cool. So there you go. More questions?
I do know there's a question over there, but I want to throw one more thing in on a response over here. And you're all gonna roll your eyes, but funding is what makes it possible. And I'll give y'all a little snapshot into what Listen CLE has been up to. We started this in 2019. We work at least 20 hours a week each, and we got our first paycheck this week, and it was only a few hundred. We do this, and everybody does this because we love what we're doing, but we're all nonprofits. The money isn't there until it's there, and then it goes fast. to be able to put resources to solving every problem and doing it in one cohesive way, we need the funding. And Assembly's kicking ass at getting us funding, and everyone here is kicking ass at showing why we're worth the funding. But now we just got to keep bugging people that have those deep pockets, and just this is one more reason. So if any of these things are feeling really hitting home to you, go beg your richest friend to send us checks. There was a question over there, and I want to make sure we get it. What's up? To the Destination Cleveland.
I will give you my card, and you can let me know, and I'll pass it along to our marketing team. Yep.
Just to the funding point, one of the things that Assembly has really stepped up and done is served as a fiscal agent for people who are just getting off the ground. So to the extent that either Musically, Listen CLE, or anybody else out there that's got either a nonprofit idea or something that is effectively a nonprofit that you don't have the paperwork through yet, Assembly is set up to be a fiscal agent for you to be able to tap into some of those resources. So.
So if you don't have a nonprofit set up already, but you have a program and you want to start receiving dollars, we have an intake process. We can take your information and we do all that back end work until you get on your feet. We're doing that with a dozen groups right now, and we're going to be doubling that number this year.
We just asked about it today too.
Literally today.
Yeah.
And I think Cleveland Rocks does that too. Right? Cindy had mentioned something.
I
Just for the
Yeah.
incubator? Okay.
We have a opportunity to submit for our artist resource page. We have a service or a business.
Gotcha. But you guys don't have the fiscal responsibility.
Well, I think Cleveland Rocks is actually 3 years into being a nonprofit, so some of the hurdles you have to get through for some of those funders out of the initial gates, you guys are through the gates and you're into the big world now of getting funding. You need more funding. Still need more funding. While we're on funding, I'm going to bring this back to the start. American Rescue Plan Act. The Bibb administration did make the recommendation supporting a $10 million ask, but Cleveland City Council are the ones that are going to vote on it. So if you see postcards around here, just to reiterate what Jeremy was saying, do that work, reach out to your council person, even if it's not via one of these postcards, and let them know how important it is. One of the things that is going to be key to this funding is who it's going to, and all the details aren't worked out yet, but there is an absolute understanding that it's got to go to individual artists in the cultural workforce, in addition to small businesses in this space, whether they're art galleries or music venues, in addition to the nonprofits. So that is the biggest pile of funding that's out there that we can all access right now, and it's going to take convincing initially Cleveland City Council and then County Council for the funds that they have to commit to it. And usually you get somebody up here saying, oh, you should call and support, and good luck, you're not getting any of that money. That's all going to somebody else. We're all going to hold everybody accountable to make sure that the people who are doing the work to try and get this stuff and the stories that are being told about the needs, those are the people that are going to get taken care of with this money. That's a commitment from, I think, everybody involved to make sure that the people who really need this money are the ones who are going to get it. And I know as the Cleveland Music Club Coalition, we have said the venues that didn't get funding through Save Our Stages, the businesses that didn't get funding, whether it was restaurant revitalization funds or PPP or CARES Act or any of that stuff, they go to the front of the line. The individuals, the employees, they go to the front of the line. The people who got money, you're in the back of the line. And so I just want to reiterate how important it is to reach out to your city council people and say, hey, this is important. This affects my life. So that's my speech. Yep.
Just want to make one quick suggestion. Maybe put a calendar of voting
Great idea. Great idea. I'm going to give this to Anson.
And I'm going to pass this right along.
You know I'm going to do that. We are looking to launch an IOBY in our backyard fundraising crowdfunding campaign. That's where we're going to be pushing for the donation matching, which we've done a fundraiser through them in the past, and we got up to $5,000 matched. I think they've lowered it to $3,000 now, but we're going to start doing that, and for sure we're going to be sending out emails and posts and things. But I think this is a really good reminder to everyone who is working on any of these projects. Have things prepared, have collateral prepared. Social media posts, have a mailing list that you can send out to, have some kind of a page that you can link to and encourage people to share. We all have heard of the algorithm, and the way to play the algorithm is to share. So when you see something, share. Yo. Yeah, and our next meeting is going to be Bring Your Rich Friend Night.
Yeah. Hey. Hey, while we're on this, there's somebody here we got to recognize who's doing this already. John Panza, are you still over there? Did he just leave? John Panza. Yeah, let's give him a hand. Yeah. Panza Foundation's been giving money to Cleveland bands for going on 10 years now, I think. And last year gave it to the venues when we were shut down. But that is something unique in talking to all these other venue communities across the country. Having something like that is pretty unique and pretty awesome. So if you want to support that way, share about the Panza Foundation too, because they do really good shit.
I also wanted to mention, I spoke with the Columbus Music Commission. I don't know if you all know that Columbus actually has a music commission, and it is a funded position. They had to advocate, they started a board of directors, grassroots, kind of like what we're doing, and they recommended to the mayor and the city that we need to have an actual salaried person to be the CEO and coordinate, and they put programs under the Columbus Music Commission umbrella. So like all of these great nonprofits that we have here, it's, you know, we're coordinating all of this right now through a literal Facebook group that was started at the beginning of the pandemic because everyone was going to be sitting at home and thought we should gather everybody. So Facebook is not really the place to like host this long term. So, but as everybody keeps saying, everybody's doing this just on their own time and their own dollar. And at some point, well, all the people who are doing this should, you know, they should be helped in some way, shape, or form for this. What's it? Careerification, yeah, professionalize it. And you know what? Columbus they have the music commission, and they told me, I'm actually going to be speaking with one of the founding members of their board who actually lives in Cleveland now for 7 months out of the year. And he's like, Cleveland, he even said, he's like, all the love I have for Columbus, and was one of the people who started the commission in Columbus. He's like, in Cleveland, you have the Rock Hall, you have the Cleveland Orchestra, you have all of these things that Columbus has amazingly talented people, but they do not have what Cleveland has. But why do they have a commission that's paid for by the city, and we don't? It just doesn't make sense. So our music scene is an economic driver. People outside of us see our strength that is not seen by some people here who can pull the strings and who have the money. I've even talked with national people who would be interested in hosting something in Cleveland because they think Cleveland is cool and we're the rock and roll capital. And these are cities who have national music scenes. So we don't even know what we have. We don't even recognize what we have here. All of us in here recognize what we have. But it's taken for granted by people outside of this room, people who have money, people who can pull strings. And I think we're starting to break through with the new mayor, the new administration. If we could, we should bring the mayor to one of these nights and have him participate. So just want to say other people are watching and actually want to partner with Cleveland. Even though we don't even have the same thing that they have, they actually want to start partnering with us. So any other questions? Yes.
I just want to make a comment.
Mm-hmm.
You said that Columbus has this organization and they don't even have half of the talent that Cleveland does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right. Cleveland has a lot of talent. And I just came from a trip in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing music there, but I couldn't break through the hotels, for example. I was all jazz clubs. But the hotels have a lot of music activity. And in the area that I was, there was at least 300 bands playing per day.
Wow.
Because it's one hotel after the other, behind the hotel, all the bars and jazz clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very organized. I knock in the hotel, talk to the manager, hey, I'd like to apply to play sometime, so I really gotta talk to this booker. And then I go talk to the booker, are you in the union? If you're not, are you Mexican? We hire the Mexicans, the local guys. So that was very nice to hear that, and I thought I don't want to ever take a job from a local guy unless somebody cancel last minute could help. But it's very nice to see how well organized they are. There are only 3 bookers in a huge area, and everybody's connected to them. And, you know, and they know exactly what everybody's playing. They have everything listed, and they only hire who they want. So this is just an example. And over here, we have so many, amazing musicians, a lot of them. And we don't have this organization established yet.
Yeah.
Keep it together and keep ourselves united and make it happen like a team, everybody together.
Yeah. And one thing that they said with my contact at the Columbus Music Commission, who was talking about what we have here in Cleveland, and he said, with your talent and your different, if you can unite the different genres of music you have and bring he's like, you guys would like bypass Nashville and Austin, like that. That's how they're viewing us.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's why I moved here.
Anybody else? Or would y'all? There's.
I think, yep.
Okay.
So you guys have a lot of different organizations represented here, and these kinds of events are really interesting and fascinating to go to. I only found out about this through a Facebook friend post that I found through that way. Is there yeah, thank you to Mackenzie. Is there a central page where you can find more about these kinds of events? So like you said you wanted to get people who have deep pockets here. Where can we send them to find these events?
Yeah, well, this is all based through the Cleveland Music Industry Facebook group, and it's listed. I kept it as a private group, even though we have over 2,000 members, and people can request to join that. I purposely kept it private because just so we could keep out trolls and and Musical.ly is also a private group for the same, and it makes it a safer, feels like a safe environment in these groups. But that's what I would say. Like this was all started through Facebook, and I don't have a web page again because of the same thing Amanda and Michael are talking about, that you know, we're all doing this on our own time. Like, I can't go and build a web page. You know, first off, you don't want me to do that. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay. Well, okay, we solved it now. Just like that.
Yeah, we'll actually add a landing page. We did it for the 48-hour virtual music fest too while they were operating during the pandemic.
Sorry.
Usually I'm told I'm too loud. We have done actually a landing page for another music organization that was doing responsive virtual concerts during the pandemic. We gave them a landing page on our website so they didn't have to fund a website. We're going to do the same. In fact, Michael just designed a logo for these conversations yesterday. So we're going to put a Facebook landing page up through the Listen CLE site so that there is a space that isn't on Facebook, as I know more and more people are trying to avoid Facebook, and rightly so. So we will try to work with Lisa to put together something that is not Facebook dependent so that things can be shared differently, and so that it will come up in searches and things like that. We understand SEO is a big part of this, and we will optimize our page so that more people can find this.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is just so when someone comes in from out of town, they're a visitor, they're moving here, and you want them to be able to look, just do a quick search online for, you know, Cleveland music industry, Cleveland music commission, just normal words like. So when I did that in Columbus, it comes up with an actual Columbus Music Commission. When you search in Cleveland, it takes you to a whole mishmash of, I don't even know what, it doesn't make any sense for what I would be looking for. So if we can like streamline that so people can find things that they're looking for. But yeah, for right now, it's located through the Facebook page, just Cleveland Music Industry. So anyone who wants to join who's not in there can just request to join, pass it along to your friends. I'll talk with Amanda and Michael about getting a landing page that'll make it a lot more professional looking, especially since your stuff looks awesome. Anybody else? Yes. Anybody? Anyone else? Or are you ready to network and? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you, Gabe, for use of the Bop Stop. Thank you, bartenders.
Tip them. Tip them well.
Tip the bartenders. Thank you.
Put out a cake.